My sister laughed at my funeral dress, out loud, in front of my entire family. She called me a failure, said I couldn't even afford something decent for a burial. What she didn't know, that cheap dress cost $30,000. I owned the brand she modeled for, and her termination letter was already signed. If you've ever been humiliated by someone who thought they were above you, if you've ever been underestimated, mocked, or written off, hit subscribe, tap like, and stay till the end. Because the story isn't just about revenge. It's about silent power, and the moment it finally speaks. Funerals have a way of stripping people down. No masks, no filters, just grief and truth. The church smelled like old wood and lilies. Soft organ music hummed in the background, low enough to feel like it was pressing against my chest. Every breath felt heavy, like the air itself didn't want to move. I stood near the front pew, hands folded, spine straight. Not because I was calm, but because I'd learned a long time ago that when you grow up in my family, weakness is blood in the water. The dress I wore was simple, black, clean lines, no logos, no glitter, no drama. That was intentional. My sister, Vanessa, arrived late. She always did. Sunglasses indoors, perfect makeup, a tight black dress that screamed look at me even at a funeral. She leaned in to greet relatives, air-kissing cheeks, accepting whispered compliments like tips after a performance. Then she saw me. Her eyes flicked over my dress. Once. Twice. Her lips curled. She didn't even lower her voice. Well, she said, loud enough for half the row to hear. I guess we all grieve differently. Some people dress for a funeral. Others dress like it's clearance rack season. A few uncomfortable chuckles rippled around us. My stomach tightened, not with anger but with something colder. She stepped closer, pretending to straighten my sleeve. Still struggling, huh? She whispered, sweet and sharp. Don't worry, not everyone can make it in life. Then she raised her voice again. Honestly, she laughed, calling that a funeral dress? God, you really are the family failure. My mother didn't defend me. She never did. She just sighed, like I was the inconvenience. I felt heat crawl up my neck. My fingers tingled. My heartbeat thudded in my ears. But I didn't cry. I didn't snap back. I smiled, because this wasn't the first time Vanessa had done this. Growing up, Vanessa was the golden child. Beautiful, loud, confident, and praised for breathing. I was invisible. When she said she wanted to model, my parents rearranged their lives, paid for photo shoots, connections, coaches. When I said I wanted to start a business, they told me to be realistic. Vanessa failed upward. Every mistake was part of her journey. When I quietly dropped out of college to build my company, she laughed. Have fun playing CEO, she said once, swirling wine in her glass. Some of us actually work for a living. What she never noticed was that I stopped talking about my life entirely. No updates, no explanations. I learned something early. People who mock you don't deserve previews. While she chased clout, I chased infrastructure. While she posed for brands, I bought them. Silently, legally, completely. One of those brands was hers. The dress she mocked. Custom made, hand-stitched, limited archive piece. $30,000. Designed by the flagship luxury label my holding company acquired 2 years earlier. Vanessa had modeled for them for 6 months. She thought she'd been discovered. She had no idea her contract crossed my desk. And when she mocked me, she had no idea that her termination letter had already been drafted the night before. Not out of spite, out of necessity. Because she'd violated morality clauses multiple times. Public misconduct, harassment, brand-damaging behavior. The funeral wasn't the reason. It was just a stage. After the service, people gathered outside, whispering, hugging, judging. Vanessa cornered me again. You know, she said, adjusting her sunglasses, if you ever need help, I could maybe talk to my agency. I met her eyes. Calm, steady. That won't be necessary, I said. She smirked. Right. Of course. Then her phone buzzed. Once. Twice. Her smile faded. She frowned at the screen, tapping fast. What the hell? She looked up at me annoyed. Did you hear about this? She snapped. My contract got terminated. Effective immediately. I tilted my head. No, I said softly, but I can explain why. She scoffed. You? Explain fashion? I stepped closer. Just enough. I own the brand, I said. Silence. Her face drained of color. I continued, my voice level. I also own the agency that placed you, and the parent company that absorbed them last year. Her mouth opened, closed. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't smile. And that dress? I added, gesturing gently to myself. It's from the private archive. $30,000. Her hands started shaking. You're lying, she whispered. I pulled out my phone. One screen, one document, board letterhead, my name, her termination, signed. Her knees actually buckled. People noticed. My mother rushed over. What's going on? Vanessa turned to her, frantic. She destroyed my career. I met my mother's eyes. No, I said. She destroyed it herself. I just enforced the consequences. Vanessa cried. Not quiet tears, ugly ones. The kind that come when entitlement finally collides with reality. She tried to scream, to blame me, but no one stepped in, because suddenly, everything made sense. The silence, the distance, the confidence, the family failure had outgrown them all. My mother didn't apologize. She just looked small. Vanessa stopped speaking to me after that day. Her industry contacts disappeared fast. Turns out, reputation matters, especially when the person you mocked controls the doors. I didn't feel joy. I felt peace. For the first time, I didn't need to prove anything. I had let them underestimate me until they couldn't anymore. And the dress? I donated it because it had already served its purpose. Some people confuse silence with weakness. They mistake humility for failure. But power doesn't announce itself. It waits. And when it speaks, it doesn't need to shout. If this story hit something personal for you, hit like. Subscribe for more stories where disrespect meets consequences. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying moment you've ever witnessed when someone was underestimated? Because the quiet ones, they're usually the most dangerous.